You're checking in with the doctor for the greatest fantasy baseball podcast in the world, starring your hosts, Dr. Fantasy.
I'm ready to rock and roll today.
And Rydawg.
Harrison Masturbator.
Welcome to Doc and Dog, your fantasy baseball geniuses, presented by the Fantasyholics.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Doc and Dog presented by the Fantasyholics. My name is Jordan Jaika, aka Dr. Fantasy, and I am here with my co-host Rydawg, and we are in the middle of our catcher mini-series. And today we have our rankings number 5 through 8, so we will hop right into it. But before we do, make sure you like the Fantasyholics on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure you check out our new website at thefantasyholics.com. And now, without further ado, at number 8, we have Wilson Ramos, and we both had him ranked number 8, so very consistent there. Last season, he batted .288 with 14 home runs and 73 RBIs. He led all catchers in the major leagues in average, which I don't think many people realize, and throughout the course of his career, he's been really solid. The biggest knock against him, and I think the reason, and you'll probably agree with me, that he's not higher is because he's had a long injury history. But if I was confident he was going to be healthy, he'd probably be in my top 5 catchers, honestly. The Mets lineup is solid. It's not great. It's not terrible. So I don't really think it helps or hurts him. He'll most likely be in a solid spot in that lineup around 5th or 6th, but I think the injury concerns are really the only thing that hold him back, in my opinion.
I'd agree with that. The Buffalo is really fun to watch when he's healthy, though. I got to see a first take at him when he was coming up with the Nats, and man, he is so just raw power. He just can't stay healthy. This is a very solid lineup with the New York Mets. And I think being able to face the Marlins as many times as he does, he should be able to get his fair shares of home runs and RBIs. I think he could easily have a 25 to 80 year if he stays fully healthy.
Yeah, definitely. Number 7 is your favorite catcher in the major leagues, Will Smith. Only reason he's at 7th is, I guess, because of my ranking. I had him ranked 10th. You have him ranked 5th. He, in his limited number of at-bats last year, he batted .253 with 15 home runs and 42 RBIs. The only reason that I don't have him higher is I personally think that it could be a little fluky. I recognize that a lot of people disagree with me, but throughout the course of his minor league career, he was always a solid offensive catcher, but he never showed the ability that he showed last year. So I'm really interested to see what he does in a full season when major league pitchers are able to adjust to him. I personally think that those power numbers specifically are going to come down even more. The one thing I'll say is I can't knock the lineup. Obviously, that's a great lineup top to bottom, so that definitely is a check mark in the positive column for him. But overall, I'm just hesitant, and I know I'm in the minority there, and I know you'll speak to why people love him, but I'm just hesitant to call him an elite offensive catcher. I still think he's a starting fantasy catcher, but I'm just hesitant personally still.
Yeah, and I love me some Will Smith. I think there's nothing to hate. His minor league stats, I can give you that. He was never really a power guy, but I like the guys that come out of nowhere and just completely crush it in their major league debuts, major league years. In his limited games last year, he played in 54 games, only 54 games. So you mean to tell me he hit 15 home runs and 40 RBIs in less than a half a season, which is completely crazy. And on top of it, he's probably in the best lineup in all of baseball for fantasy purposes. And the NL West, I said it about Carson Kelly, and I think it just goes better with Wilson Ramos. The NL West pitching, and now that he's on the Dodgers, he has the 2 best pitchers in that division, in my opinion. Will Smith is going to feast. I'm not really a big fan of. Robbie Ray and Luke Weaver. They're average, and the Giants don't really have anyone. But I'm loving it. I'm loving Will Smith. Every little thing there is. I can't wait to see him in a full season. I could see potentially 90 RBIs and 30 dingers.
Yeah, if he adjusts to major league pitching, then I agree with you. I mean, he definitely has that potential, but I'm a wait and see kind of guy. I think right now he's going catcher number 4 overall in most drafts, and to me, I think that's too high. I'm a value guy, so
You are. You are the value guy.
number 6 in our rankings is Salvador Perez of the Royals. I had him 5th. You had him 7th. He is one of the he's second in the league as far as catchers are concerned in hard hit percentage. So another guy that absolutely rips the ball. He batted 235 last season, 27 home runs, 80 RBIs. I mean, those are really big numbers for a catcher. He's going to be batting right in the middle of that Royals lineup. Not that that means a whole lot because their lineup is arguably, I mean, they're one of the bottom 3 lineups in all of baseball, in my opinion. So it doesn't help him, but over the course of his career, I mean, he rips the ball. I mean, he's a guarantee if he's healthy, and I think that's one of the knocks on him, similar to Ramos, is that if he's healthy, I mean, he's guaranteed to me 25 home runs, 80 RBIs. I don't expect him to hit 235 consistently, but if he's healthy, there's no doubt that he's one of the top catchers offensively in baseball.
Yeah, and Salvador Perez has never really had a long injury history. It's just his Tommy John, I believe, that he just had done. So, I mean, that's a 1.5 year injury.
Yeah.
So, I don't really think – I think he might eventually make the move to DH and catch limitedly. So, I don't think his stats should take much of a hit at all. And I think people are forgetting about Salvador Perez a lot. I have him ranked then at my 7th catcher, and that's because there's so many young, hungry catchers that are just dying to rip the ball. So I want to see what Salvador Perez can do first before I take him into the top 5, which he could easily jump right back into. But his value is so crazy right now. It's like people forget that he existed, and they think like he just like fell off the face of the earth or something. So I wouldn't mind carrying 2 catchers this year. I know you said in the previous pods about 2 catcher leagues, but I mean, I'm all for it at this rate. I would take him as my 2nd catcher or my 1st catcher. I'll carry 2 if it's a 1 catcher league.
Yeah, I don't have the ADPs right in front of me, but depending on what format or what platform you play on, I think he's going outside the top 10 catchers right now, that's value. That's good value.
Oh, yeah, for sure, especially for someone that's been multiple Silver Sluggers, multiple Gold Gloves, and he just rips the ball harder than anyone in the league for catchers. So I like him.
Then last catcher for this installment, our number 5 ranked catcher is Wilson Contreras of the Cubs. I have him 6th. You have him 3rd, so a little higher than me. He batted 272 last year with 24 home runs and 64 RBIs. In a pretty good lineup there with the Cubbies. Once again, one of those catchers that is batting 270, one of only 8 in the league, in a good lineup, still young, has a ton of upside and potential. I really like him as a top half catcher number 1.
Yeah, and I have him in my top 3. When I ranked my top 3, I knew exactly who I wanted in there. Contreras does everything that you want at the 3 categories. He has for a high average. He has 20-plus home runs, and his RBIs are at least 60. And I think he'll hit the 70 RBI mark this year for sure. He just does it all, and I think he gets taken for granted sometimes. So whenever I miss out on the top 2 catchers of Realmuto and Sanchez, I always tend to just fall for the Contreras or the Will Smith.
Sure. So I think that's all that we have for this episode. Those were our catchers ranked 5 through 8. We will have one last installment with our top 4 catchers coming out tomorrow. So if you don't already, make sure you like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Twitter at FantasyHolics1, and make sure you check out our new website, thefantasyholics.com. And we will see you guys next time.
See you later.